people of Britain voted to leave the European Union.
The Article 50 process is now underway, and in accordance with the wishes of the British people, the United Kingdom is leaving the European Union. This is an historic moment from which there can be no turning back. I have just chaired a meeting of the Cabinet where we agreed that the government should call a general election to be held on the 8th of June.
On Wednesday 29th of March 2017, Theresa May's postman in Brussels hand-delivered a 6-page letter to Donald Tusk, the President of the European Council, triggering Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, starting the formal process for the UK exiting the European Union within 2 years' time, with the negotiations expected to begin during May following the conclusion of the French presidential elections. And then on the 18th of April, Theresa May surprised everyone by calling a Brexit snap UK general election to be held on the 8th of June 2017. And this really was a surprise to all, because previously she had repeatedly stated that she would not be calling an early general election. Instead, in a statement issued, made clear that a slender majority in the House of Commons was not large enough to secure a strong Brexit outcome for the United Kingdom. Clearly, Theresa May has calculated that this is the most opportune moment to take advantage of a crippled Labour Party that is still immersed within its own civil war, having lost 40 MPs to the SNP in Scotland. Then there are UKIP, who are literally imploding without purpose following the triggering of Article 50. All of which is manifesting in a landslide generating poll lead of over 20% over Labour. So at this very early stage, probability strongly favours a Conservative strong election victory on June the 8th. Therefore, in this series of 10 videos based on my 2 pieces of in-depth analysis published at the Market Oracle website, that will be updated as each video is completed and published, that aim to map out the dynamics of the Brexit war that is set to unfold between the UK and the European Union, and what actions the UK needs to take to ensure victory in this Brexit war, including what game theory suggests the UK should do virtually immediately following the outcome of the June 8th general election. So do subscribe to this YouTube channel for forthcoming videos in this in-depth series in the run-up to the June 8th UK general election. The starting point for this analysis is the triggering of Article 50. Where of note in Theresa May's letter was that while she mentioned trade 6 times, she mentioned security 11 times, effectively sending an early warning to the European Union of threats it faces from the likes of Tsar Putin's Russia, and should not risk jeopardizing Britain's key role in securing Europe's borders via its extensive security, military and intelligence apparatus that Britain operates to secure the European Union's eastern and southern borders. An EU hardline on trade would prompt the UK to scale back on the defence of Europe, so that the European nations pick up the bill for defending Europe rather than Britain and the United States. Whilst the European Commission responded to the letter with a hard line by stating that they would first seek to secure everything that is in the EU's interests, such as the rights of the 4 million EU nationals living in the UK against 1.2 million British citizens living in the EU, as well as demanding agreement on a 50 billion exit fee before any negotiations can begin. Therefore, immediately began by blackmailing Britain, which acts as a warning shot across the bows of any other EU states that may be contemplating breaking free from the European Union superstate. The Eurocrats feared the Brexit domino effect as Britain exiting leaves behind a deep void that the European Union is unlikely to be able to fill, given the fundamentals of the vast majority of EU funding recipient states revolving around a German central black hole, that no other European Union member state can compete against. Germany, like a vampire, has been literally sucking the economic lifeblood out of the other European member nations, especially those within the Eurozone, most of whom remain in a permanent state of economic stagnation and worse, depression, which is exactly where Britain would be if it were not for the luck that the fools of the last Labour government, who having signed Britain up to a disastrous string of treaties, never got around to the UK joining the Euro. Apparently it was always on Tony Blair's agenda to mastermind a referendum in favour of Britain joining the Euro sometime between 2003 and 2004, i.e. before the May 2005 general election, and to be implemented by 2007, as illustrated by the following Guardian article from mid-2003. Therefore, despite all of the noises about how smart Labour had been about not making the mother of all economic mistakes by joining the Euro, the truth is that it was sheer luck that Britain did not join the Euro before the financial crisis started to break late 2007. Labour just never got around to the referendum they had been planning probably since the Euro was first launched, and the rest is history. So, in the Brexit negotiation game that is beginning, the objective for Britain is to leave the EU with as much access to the European single market as possible, without free movement of labour, for the least cost incurred in terms of annual contributions and influence on other aspects of British sovereignty. Whilst for the European Union, the primary objective is to prevent Brexit triggering a domino collapse of the European Union, by prompting other member states to decide to follow Britain's lead and gain freedom from a dictatorial, centralised European superstate, as EC President Jean-Claude Juncker stated, "I don't want others to take the same avenue because just suppose for 1 second the others would leave, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be the end." So for the EU, the name of the game is survival. Therefore, the EU will go out of its way to make the process for Britain leaving as painful as possible, with the final objective being one of trying to engineer a failure for Britain to actually leave the European Union through destabilisation of the British state by economic, market and political means, i.e. subversion. Therefore, the problem at the core of the Brexit game is that both sides are playing a different game. Britain wants access to the EU market at very limited cost, whilst the EU wants Brexit to fail so that the EU does not implode. So do ensure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel for the next video in the Brexit War series that maps out in detail what is likely to happen and what Britain needs to do to achieve a Brexit war victory over the European Union superstate.